to Andy's Garage. I'm Andy Phillips. Today I'm going to be doing a product review on this tire sealant and inflator by Super Tech. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is the container, and it says on here, inflates and seals in minutes, tire sensor safe, and non-flammable formula. Now, this is basically like your fix-a-flat, slimes, things like that. If you want to see some of the videos I've done on several other product tire sealants, you can check that out down in the description. I'll have those down there if you want to see how those fared out. But for this one, we're just going to be trying this Super Tech, which is just kind of the generic one that you can get at Walmart. So let me go head over to the vehicle and I'll show you what we're dealing with, and then we'll look at the instructions and we'll put it to the test and see what it does. So this is our front passenger tire, and let me see if I can get closer so you can see it, but this thing is completely down on the ground, completely flat, and this tire here has a pretty decent sized leak in it. Usually within about 48 hours, this thing is already getting flat like this, so it's not holding up. So this should be a very clear test whether this product works or not. And you'll notice here we're also missing a stud. That's for another video, but if you want to see a video I did on how to replace wheel studs, you can check that out via the link above. Also have it down in the description, but just while we're on this topic, you don't want to be driving without a wheel stud. That can be unsafe. This one is being swapped out in a future video, so just ignore that for now. All right, so now as you saw, this thing is completely on the ground, rim is flat. We're going to flip this thing over here on the back. We're going to look at the instructions on it. We're going to follow it as it says. And then we'll be back after we put this in and we conclude this video. We will be back probably within a week. That'll give it adequate time. Like I just mentioned, about 48 hours it starts to go down. So if we let it sit for a 7-day period, we'll definitely be able to see whether this thing held up or not. But let me get the camera here up close and we'll look at the instructions and we'll start applying it. So as we look here on the back, the first step here, it says move the car so that the tire puncture is at a 6 o'clock position. Leave object and tire if possible. Unfortunately, with the tire we're putting it in, I don't know where the puncture is. It's just got a slow leak. So for, depending on what you're dealing with, you may be able to do that or not. Then the next one, it says here, is to shake the can vigorously for 30 seconds. Attach hose to tire valve. And then we'll go ahead and apply the content in here. Very simple instructions. If we flip it on here on the back, it's got some warnings. Use only outdoors in a well-ventilated area. Wear protective eye protection during use. Do not use if product is dented or damaged. Do not puncture or incinerate container after use. Do not expose to heat, open flames, direct sunlight, or store at or above 120 degrees. Do not store in the interior of the car, including the glove compartment or inside the hatchbacks. Do not use with any other tire inflator product. Do not use on motorcycle tires. Failure can cause loss of control. Do not use on bicycle tires. If using Z-rated tires, be sure to check tire pressure before driving. Never weld on a rim. Welding on a rim with the tire mounted could cause fire, could cause the tire to explode regardless of whether the inflator is used. So a lot of warnings on this thing here, but pretty basic. So in the case of this tire here, since we don't know where the puncture is located, I'm just going to apply it as is because as we saw, it's completely down on the ground. So we're going to go ahead and apply it. That should get it off the ground, and then we'll be able to back it out of the garage and continue outside. All right, so we've shaken it up. Let's get ready to put it in. Attach it here. And with any of these types, you want to make sure that you hold the can upright when you're applying the sealant. Make sure you got it good. There we go. All right, so it's wrapping up now. It got it off the ground a little bit, as we saw. This tire was completely gone, so let's get this off. Sometimes this stuff can spray out, so just... Okay, that wasn't too bad. When we get it outside, we're going to rinse that off anyway. So let's back it outside, and we'll continue out there. And looking out here, you can see it. It's not as flat as it looked in the garage, but still, let's rinse this off. You don't want that stuff caking up in there, because then what'll happen, it'll clog it up and then you won't be able to even put air in there. So you can see we got it all cleaned out. All right, now that that's in, now these instructions on here are extremely vague. Normally when you're dealing with something like this, after you apply, you want to take it for maybe like a 1 mile drive, just to let it circulate in there so it doesn't all just clump in where it went in. So we're going to take it for a quick spin, and then we'll be back to top it off with air, and then we'll see how the PSI looks, and then we'll let it sit for the week as we said, and then we'll conclude the video after we let it sit and make sure that it holds. But let's take it for a drive. Now as you're driving it, you don't want to be going fast. I would keep it down around like 20-25 miles an hour max, because you got to remember you've got a low tire on here. So just go for about a mile or so, keeping low speeds just to let it circulate, and then when you get back you can top it off. Okay, so we finished driving it. Went about 1.5 miles or so, slow speeds as we saw. So now I'm going to fire up the compressor. We're going to go ahead and top it off accordingly, make sure everything looks good, and then we'll use it throughout this week, and then we'll conclude at the end of 7 days and see if this tire sealant actually held up and did its job. We're looking at about 15 PSI right there. We're going to take it up to about, I usually do around 36. Okay, here we go. All right, so as we saw, we are at 36 PSI. We're going to use this vehicle for its regular use throughout the week, and then we'll be back in 7 days to see if it's still at 36 PSI and if this thing held up, and then we'll conclude this review. Here we are. It's now been 24 hours, nice and firm. If you take a look at the tire, it's nice and off the ground. Normally it would be flat at this point. Welcome back. It is now day 3. You can see the tire still looks good. Let's get up close on this thing. Push on it here, nice and firm. And you can see here it's off the ground, looking good. Welcome back. It is now day 7, been 1 full week since we put the tire sealant in there. We're going to take a look at it. As we saw in some of the shots I was showing you as the days were going along, it was still looking good. So let's get a close-up. We'll see how it looks. We'll put the tire pressure gauge on it, see what the PSI looks like, and then we'll wrap this up. We look here. This thing is solid as can be. Get a close-up. You can see it looks good on the ground. All around here. Let's put the gauge on it. See if I can turn it to where you can see that. And we are looking at 30. Now a little bit went out when I put it in, so let's say it was at 32. Either way, it did go down a little bit. I believe we were at 36 when we ended it, so it did go down a little bit. The tire still looks good though. Didn't go down all the way, but over the course of a week, it did go down a little bit. All right, so to wrap up this review on this tire sealant by Super Tech, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It did obviously fix the flat. We did have it in for a week. Normally you don't want it in that long. You want to get the tire taken care of. And one thing I didn't mention at the beginning, and they don't say in the directions, but when you do take it to be worked on, make sure you let the tire tech know that that's in there. But it did seal the problem, so if you're trying to ride
to get it worked on, it worked. But if you've got it in there any length of time, it is leaking slightly, not much, but just a little bit. So I do give it an 8 out of 10. You can check out some of the other product reviews I've done for other ones, like by Slime, Fix-A-Flat, things like that. I believe some of those worked better. But I hope that this review was informative for you, kind of showed you what this product is all about. Please send me any questions and comments. I would love to hear from you. And as always, I appreciate all the support. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.